One uneventful day, a group of kids are learning surrounding their teacher. One student gets up to look over the window, and the window starts to crack. A bright blue light is seen before an explosion happens. Panic spread through the city as people ran to save their lives. 10 years have passed since the incident. A young girl named Veronica lives in Jewel City. She wakes up to her alarm and takes a shower. After brushing her teeth, she goes down to have breakfast. There, her father is reading the newspaper while her mother serves the dishes. They all sit for breakfast. Veronica turned the TV off. She then tells her mother that her friend Janine saw a new one on the bus. Her mother tells her that they don't have to talk about these things every morning. This upsets Veronica. She tells Mom she is pretending as if her father is not there. And at that time, her father disappears. She then angrily gets up and gets on her bicycle. As she is going to school, she explains what happened after the explosion. Everyone in the city perished, and since then, strange echoes of the dead, called remnants or rems, have started appearing. These are ghost-like figures locked in short, repetitive loops. They can't think, speak, or interact with the living world. They're only shadows of what once was. Her city is 50 miles from Ground Zero. The government lab, Ashburn Laboratories, had a meltdown. A massive explosion, when a particle collider went critical, started everything. The energy wave left buildings as they are, but the people in its path were affected. The impact of the event reshaped society. Panic rooms are now standard in homes, and people live with the knowledge that the past might flicker into the present without warning. At school, Veronica attends a lesson on remnants, taught by a man named August Bitner. Curious and frustrated, she questions the theory that all rems stem from the event, pointing out that a new one, a young ghost girl, has appeared in their classroom. Mr. Bitner has no explanation. Just after the class ends, as students walk out, Mr. Bitner calls Veronica from behind. When she goes back to his desk, he pulls out her exam. She got a C. He tells her that C is not really her look, and he always expects an A from her. He asks what is going on and encourages her to open up. Veronica picks up a framed photograph from the table and asks if she was his daughter. He starts telling her that it is, and that she is now her age, but he quickly realized that Veronica is trying to shift the attention from their conversation about her exam. After joking about that, he reminds her of her potential and asks her to work more on it. He gave her the exam paper and told her she could talk to him whenever she wanted. During lunch, Veronica keeps watching a withdrawn student named Kirk. He's known for his obsession with remnants and the cryptic notebook he's always scribbling in. Rumor says he was expelled from his previous school, but no one knows why. Later that day, Veronica goes ice skating at the lake, revisiting memories of her father. He was teaching her ice skating. Veronica, nervous and little, tries not to fall as she skates. By the end of the ice, her father waits, encouraging her to come to him. She successfully goes to her father, but in the present, she falls. The next morning, something strange happens. After showering, Veronica opens the curtain to go out, but she finds a new rem in her bathroom. Shocked, she falls along with the curtain. The rem is a young man. He then walks into the mirror and starts staring at it. Just before vanishing, he lifts his hand, and the word "run" briefly appears on the glass. At school, she sits numbly, constantly remembering the incident from the morning. Her distracted behavior draws attention, and her classmates notice the bleeding. Veronica walks out of the class. She finds Mr. Bitner. He asks about her ear, but she shrugs it off, saying it is nothing. As he walks away, she follows him and asks if she can ask him something really important, but he reminds her it is the last period on Friday. Nothing is important right now. She tells him it is about remnants. Hearing this, he asks if it is about her school project. He then tells her he has office hours at home that day, and she can come there and talk. As told, she goes to his house with her bicycle. He leads her inside, telling her that the house is a mess. Inside, she meets his cold, distant daughter, Eva. Mr. Bitner complains about his daughter being distant. He jokingly asks Veronica if it was a rule to stop hugging their father when kids become teenagers. He asks what her question was, and Veronica asks if rems can communicate. She then describes the rem and the message on the mirror, but Bitner dismisses it, believing she hit her head and imagined the whole thing. He tells her remnants can't communicate at all. They are just residue. They are reminders of things they want to remember and things they wish they could forget. Veronica argues about what she saw. That evening, Veronica waits in the bathroom for the rem to return. It doesn't. She then sits by the table next to the remnants of her father. When she attempts to touch it, it disappears. The next day, she follows Kirk. He parks his car and he breaks through a fence and keeps walking. Veronica keeps following him and reaches an opening of an underground tunnel. Kirk appears from behind and asks why she is following him. She tells him about the new rem she found in her bathroom. He then tells her to follow him to the tunnel, but she refuses. He reminds her that she was the one who followed him and walks in. She follows him, and he tells her to get ready. Shortly after, a school of spectral fish swims past. He tells her to count them, but Veronica couldn't keep up. Kirk counts them, claiming their numbers grow each month. As they go out, Veronica asks if he is a truther, someone who believes in a hidden reality. He simply tells her, he asks questions. He mentions he observes her in class, and he knows that she is also curious. She then asks to help her figure out who the rem from the bathroom is. Kirk refuses, but Veronica offers to do his school paper if he helps her with this. Kirk asks why this rem is special. Veronica fears that the rem wants to hurt her. Back at school, they start making a plan. Veronica casually refers to the rem as Brian, only realizing it once Kirk points it out. She doesn't know why she said it, but somehow the name feels right. Veronica has no idea how she knew the rem's name. It was like the name Brian simply landed in her mind. Wanting to uncover who he was, she and Kirk decide to get a photo of him. Ordinary cameras can't capture remnants, so they turn to a tech-savvy science club member. Real spectrographic lenses are expensive, but he rigs together a makeshift version from everyday items. They set up the device in Veronica's bathroom and wait. When a strange sound comes from downstairs, Veronica checks it out. She assumed it was her mother at first. She walks around the house. In a mirror, she briefly sees the reflection of a man. Something shifts in the corner of her vision, and panic drives her back to Kirk. He calms her down and asks if there is something he can use as a weapon. They make their way downstairs, but they only find her mother, Anna. Before Veronica can cook up an excuse, Kirk realizes it's time and rushes back upstairs. Brian appears. Kirk manages to snap a photo, but then things spiral. Brian's face decays in real time, and he lunges at them as the light bulb bursts. In that instant, the rem vanishes. The next day, Kirk analyzes the photo and discovers Brian's past. He gives Veronica a newspaper that shows the details of it. 4 years earlier, Brian had abducted and killed a pastor's daughter named Mary. As they are driving, Kirk tells Veronica maybe the rem really is there to hurt her. The two visit the pastor, but she only recalls what little the police shared. Brian had stalked Mary on campus and convinced her to leave with him, and she was never seen alive again. He was found in a motel the next day, already dead. Veronica and Kirk dig deeper. No one in Jewel City remembers Brian, suggesting he was an outsider. Mary likely didn't know him either, but Veronica contemplates that Brian knows her and Mary, so there must be something they are missing. Veronica then noticed Mary's age is different in the different news articles. Brian then explains Mary disappeared the day before her birthday, and when they find her, it is already past her birthday. So technically, she was a year older. Also, her birthday is on February 29th, Leap Day, the same day as Veronica's birthday. They do this research in the library. Unaware, a dark figure is watching from a distance. When the shadow disappears, the lights flicker. Veronica drops her notebook, and as she picks it up, she discovers pages covered in the word run, scribbled again and again, none of which she remembers writing. Later, Kirk gets summoned to the principal's office and scolded for pestering the pastor. He claims it's all for a school assignment, but the principal doesn't buy it. He threatens to suspend him and asks what the real reason is. Meanwhile, Veronica is at the school basketball game with her friend. She is concerned because Kirk isn't responding to her texts. Mr. Bitner walks into the field and waves at them. Her friend jokingly calls Mr. Bitner her boyfriend and asks where Veronica's boyfriend is, referring to Kirk. Veronica retorts, saying that Kirk is not her boyfriend, but basketball is not really his thing anyway. The principal is there too, but steps away after getting a message. Veronica keeps explaining that Kirk is not a bad guy. He is just different. Suddenly, Veronica begins seeing Brian again, first in the crowd. She walks into him and touches his shoulder, but it was another person. She apologized and walked away. She gets overwhelmed and sees him in the front of the crowd again, but it is another person. She then sees him across the court. She tries to reach him, walking right into the game, oblivious to the chaos she's causing. Her friend calls her from behind, snatching her from it. She looks around only to notice everyone staring at her, but just as she regains focus, the unthinkable happens. The principal's body crashes through the ceiling. Panic spreads among the crowd, and people run towards the body. When she glances up, someone throws the principal's glasses. That night, Kirk visits Veronica, deeply unsettled. He asks why she is not picking up her phone, but she tells him she is charging it. He admits he told the principal the real reason they'd met the pastor, and the man had promised to help. Now that he's dead, Kirk is convinced it's all connected. Veronica isn't so sure. It feels like a leap. When Kirk notices her skates, Veronica opens up. They once belonged to her father, and on the day of the event, she'd shouted at him and said something she regrets, that she didn't love him. Veronica still carries the weight of her father's death. On ordinary mornings, he caught the commuter train, but after their argument, he left late and chose the car. The blast reached the freeway, not the rail line, so she blames herself and has never visited his grave. Kirk has his own ghosts. When Veronica asks if he studies about the remnants to know why they show up, he tells her that is not the reason. He studies about them to know why his dad doesn't show up. He never shed a tear for his father, and now hunts remnants, hoping one will be his dad. That evening, the two nearly share a kiss, but Anna interrupts and insists Kirk stay. Icy roads make the drive home risky. She tells them she made up the sofa for him, so Kirk wishes Veronica a good night and walks out of the room to sleep on the sofa. After he left, Anna kept having flashbacks of herself and her mother during the incident. They were running as Anna comforts her, telling her that everything will be okay. She then gets up to close her window but gets a glimpse of Brian at the bedroom window. She stumbles backward, crashes through a sheet of ice, and sinks into a dark lake where two female shades drift past. She keeps swimming there and sees scattered images of different scenes. Startled awake, she realizes it was only a nightmare. Anna was in her room. She asks what is wrong, but Veronica tells her that she just had a nightmare. She asks why the window is open, but she doesn't know. She also asks what Darkness Falls means because she was repeating it before she woke up. At breakfast, Anna announces a job interview in Overton on the 28th, which means she will miss Veronica's leap day birthday. Robert's rem then appears, holding a newspaper dated after his death. The front page reports two teenagers, Emma and Claire, who vanished on successive leap days. Kirk notes every detail, convinced Robert is warning them. The newspaper he is holding is only 8 years old, even though the incident happened 10 years ago. Veronica wonders how it is even possible. Kirk notes everything on a paper. Online searches reveal that Claire's sister still lives nearby. They go to talk to the sister. She tells the pair that Claire had become infatuated with a man named Brian, followed him to Chicago, and now her ghost reenacts her final moments. Determined to see it, Veronica and Kirk slip into the no-go zone. There is a sign that says, "Darkness falls by the entry." Inside, the place is crawling with persistent remnants, loops far longer than those outside the blast radius. Kirk suggests ground zero energy keeps them stable. They keep walking between them. A band of rowdy trespassers shows up. To avoid trouble, Kirk pulls Veronica close and kisses her, pretending they are just more ghosts. The ruse works and the thugs wander off. The address Claire's sister provided turns out to be the ruined laboratory. A guard takes their money and leads them below. Along the way, they pass echoes from decades of the building's history, including the two lake spirits from Veronica's dream. In a basement gallery, a crowd waits. Claire's rem appears, chatting to an unseen companion, proof she knew her killer. The loop turns violent. She is thrown against walls, flees up a staircase, and dies by strangulation at the top. When the vision fades, Kirk spots Dr. Martin Steiner, the physicist blamed for the original blast. Kirk calls his name. Steiner bolts. Veronica and Kirk give chase and finally trap him in a narrow alleyway. Steiner aimed a pistol at the teenagers, yet Veronica stayed calm and forced him to talk. She tells him she needs answers. If she leaves without answers, she is dying anyway. She reminds him of all the people that died by the explosion and tells him this is his chance to redeem himself. Finally, Steiner softened and agreed to cooperate. He then leads them through a ruined hallway, telling them that this is where he leaves now. He came back after the explosion because he felt like that was the only place he really belonged. Inside the ruined lab, he finally explained himself. During World War II, over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, people standing near the explosion absorbed the radiation as they were incinerated. The atomic blasts left human shadows burned into walls, echoes of life poised to become gateways. He explains that is how death is. When someone dies, they leave an echo of themselves behind. And these echoes can become something more and become a doorway. A doorway through which a person can reach back and touch the leaving. He was trying to understand the doorways and ultimately create one. Basically a doorway between life and death. Steiner's team tried to build such a gateway by stopping and restarting a patient's heart, edging closer to death each time. On the day of the event, they went too far and tore a hole instead of a door. Brian, once Steiner's brilliant assistant, lost his sanity after that disaster. Steiner tells them when he hears that Claire is dead, he knows it was Brian who did it. He then explains about spectral transference. He killed the person whom he loved the most, so he's trying to find a body to bring her back. Certain he could revive Claire, Brian murdered her, and later targeted other girls who shared her leap day birthday. Each death was an attempt at spectral transference, a process meant to give Claire a living body. Steiner also revealed that the official rules about remnants were invented to keep the public calm. Kirk pocketed an old photograph of the lab while Veronica promised silence, but Steiner could no longer bear his guilt and said goodbye to life in front of them. Back at school the next morning, administrators forced Kirk to open his locker. A handgun lay inside. Kirk swore it was planted, yet he was dragged away. Frightened, Veronica turned to Mr. Bitner. He now believed everything after speaking with the pastor and admitted Kirk's earlier expulsion had also involved a gun. Bitner suggested lining Veronica's home panic room with lead, convinced it would block any rem. When Kirk called, Veronica kept her distance. He confessed that the earlier gun had been meant for hurting himself, never violence, but she still sent him away so she and Bitner could finish the room. Studying the stolen photo, Kirk realized Bitner once worked at the same lab. Far from town, Anna discovered her job interview had never been scheduled. Unable to phone Veronica, whose panic room cut reception, he drove to Bitner's house. There he learned the truth. Eva, Bitner's daughter, had died at Ground Zero, and her rem ran on an unusually long loop. Bitner planned to give Eva Veronica's living body. Bitner caught Kirk outside. Kirk pretends that he just has a question about the project, but Bitner knocks him unconscious. As he was still unconscious, he buried him alive. Then Bitner hurried to Veronica's house, posing as her guardian. He takes food and other essentials and sits next to her to keep her company. Veronica goes to close the lead cover and cuts her finger. This sparks something in her head. She asks what it's made of, and he tells her it is lead. When she asks what kind of lead it is, Bitner tells her it is lead polymer. As he is wrapping her finger with a cloth, she starts to remember things she had heard about the women that died. She then notices that Bitner has a scar on his forehead. She asks Bitner how he got the scar. He tells her it is an accident, but she realizes that he is a killer. Seeing her demeanor change, Bitner also suspects that she knows. She tells him that she needs to go to the bathroom, but Bitner tells her that it is not a good time. She pretends she is going back, but she pushes him and runs out of the room. She hides by a wall, and Bitner starts talking, telling her that he is doing what any father would do. Killing her is the only way that he can bring Eva back. She fled, but Bitner yanked her back by the hair and laid everything bare. He had killed the other girls, set up Anna's fake interview, planted the gun on Kirk, and eliminated both Brian and the principal, all to resurrect his daughter. Brian hadn't killed the girls. He'd taken them to hide them, trying to shield them from Bitner. But it hadn't worked. Bitner tracked them down anyway. In Veronica's living room, he lunged, hands tightening around her throat until something made him pause. Robert's rem had appeared nearby. Seizing the moment, Veronica grabbed one of her father's skates from under the couch and slashed at Bitner, wounding him just enough to break free. She fled, racing through the night until she reached the edge of the frozen lake. Bitner caught her again, but she stomped the ice with all her strength until it cracked beneath them. Both plunged into the water. Bitner tried to drag her down, but two remnants intervened. Brian emerged to push Veronica toward the surface, and Mary appeared to pull Bitner deeper, holding him until he vanished beneath the cold. Brian vanished too, after Veronica silently thanked him, but the ice was too slick for her to climb out. She slipped again and again, her body going numb. As the cold closed in, she thought about her father and waited to die. Then Kirk arrived. He pulled her from the lake and held her close, promising help was already on the way. He'd survived something impossible. His father's rem had finally appeared and dug him free from the earth. In the days that followed, Veronica's life slowly returned to normal. Her father's ghost stopped showing up, and that absence brought peace. It gave her the strength to do what she hadn't dared before, visit his grave. Later, she and Kirk stood side by side, knowing they couldn't keep what they'd learned buried. The world needed the truth. Somewhere in the distance, Bitner's rem lingered, watching.